record amounts of money. Let's not forget, for a black candidate, that was always a huge hurdle. He surmounts that as well. So my sense is this is an extraordinarily well-run campaign, and the history books, you know, it's not a matter of just making history here. This may be the cover of the history books.
Bill Kristol, your thoughts?
I think it's very well said by Juan. I mean, he will also, of course, by a considerable margin, have gotten more votes than any other person in United States history running for any office. You know, he's going to way exceed Bush in 2004, partly because he'll probably have a slightly higher percentage, and will have a higher percentage, and because that's a considerably higher turnout. So an amazing achievement. He probably will get the highest percentage of the vote of any non-incumbent running for president since Eisenhower in 1952, and he will be in a very powerful position. I hope as an American he's a successful president, and I hope he really thinks through the power he has and then uses it judiciously and carefully rather than, you know, just sort of doing whatever might come easiest, because he will be there as the first African-American president with, what, 55% of the vote, it looks like. That's a very handsome electoral college victory, increased margins for his party in the House and Senate, which they will owe to him in part. No other Democratic president since LBJ has brought in increased margins in the House and the Senate. So he will be in a very powerful position to govern.
Let's not forget that he's not just an African-American candidate. He's actually a biracial candidate. Or biracial president, I should say now, president-elect. He was raised by a single white mother. His father, he only knew briefly for a couple weeks when he was 10 years old. His father was from Kenya. He was raised partly in Hawaii. He spent some time in Indonesia. Then he came back, and he was raised by white grandparents. Sadly, his white grandmother just died and isn't alive to see this. How sad is that? But I think that goes to the point that he has always been able to reach across and reach out to voters of all races. Keep in mind, he launched his primary campaign with a win in Iowa, in the Iowa caucuses, which is all white voters. So I think he's a different kind of candidate. He's not just an African-American candidate.
You know, I'm struck, Nina, as you say that. I had a phone call just a week or so ago at the height, 2 weeks ago or so, at the height of the Bill Ayers flap, when there was a lot being said about Obama, a lot of issues in his past, which he perhaps had not fully explained, that were being brought to the fore. And this was a person who had worked with us at Fox News, an old friend of mine and of Kim Hume's, who was, of course, part of what we've done at Fox for so long. And she called to tell me that she knew him in college, and that Barry, as she knew him, was a great guy, that he's just a great guy. And, you know, and I thought every time I saw him and watched him, and I had a brief interview with him on the air the other day, and I thought to myself, this is a man who may be possible to disagree with. This is a man who you may regard in some respects as risky or even dangerous, but you couldn't help but like him. I mean, this was